Chris Ross, we recently took a step in the other direction in November when people in Massachusetts pretty decisively voted against extending the bottle bill. I guess you've probably tried selling this referendum in the neighborhoods, but how big a deal is this that it got defeated?
To me and to the Boston Workers Alliance, it was a very big deal just because of the misinformation that the neighborhood was getting. Personally, a lot of people that I talked with after the election said that they were against it because they didn't want to pay more for orange juice and milk, when clearly that wasn't a part of that ballot initiative. But because of the push from the bottle industry, that's the message that they received. And when you think that it's going to adversely hurt your pockets, that's how you're going to vote against anything that's going to adversely hurt your pockets.
Because the other message from people who were fighting question 2 was that yes, it's waste, and people maybe they toss them if they're picking it up at a convenience store and drinking on the run, but there isn't that much compared to the rest of the waste stream.
Well, maybe not in their neighborhoods, but in the neighborhoods that I live in more urban neighborhoods, there are. And it is not just the people that are living in those neighborhoods, but also the people that are coming from outside of the neighborhood to work into the city that are producing a lot of the waste, a lot of the litter. And one of the things that we find within a lot of our neighborhoods, a lot of those places that have redemption centers, are a lot of juice bottles, a lot of water bottles. You don't find a lot of beer bottles, soda cans, because those are the ones that that's money on the ground, and people go pick those up, redeem them. I felt that if the initiative or the ballot question had passed, you would see a lot less of those, and also would give us a opportunity to reimagine how we view our neighborhoods and our communities, and start being more responsible in the city when it comes to zero waste, actually.
Bess, why is it so important to get to this? Because with global warming threatening us, we're scared into realizing you got to cut down on energy or switch to renewables. But what is it about cutting down on waste that's so important?
Yeah, really good question. So the vast majority of waste here in Boston, when it doesn't get recycled, it gets incinerated, it gets burned. And burning waste is really bad for our health. It releases cancer-causing chemicals into the air, but it's also bad for our climate. Burning anything is bad, and particularly when you're thinking about burning plastics and all of these types of materials and releasing that into the air. It's not like it's just going away when we're burning our waste. So that's really one of the problems. But secondly, when we're just burning up materials instead of reusing them, it means that we have to recreate products that we could be reusing instead. So we're mining new materials, we're going through all of that process, which again has a huge impact on our environment.
So Curtis, if we switch from burning to recycling, that means something for jobs. So what do you want to see from the city on this?
Well, with the failing of the ballot initiative again, it actually could become a good thing. Well, not could, it has to become a good thing for the city to reevaluate that, hey, we can't incentivize our litter issues by trying to get people to vote on picking up some more litter, juice bottles, water bottles, and really take a hard look at making sure that our city recycles more and is becoming zero waste, composting more. There are ways to do it. It's not just because we're in the city we cannot do it. You can do it just for the sake of the neighborhood, for the sake of your children, for the sake of being able to live in a cleaner environment.
Bess, what about closing the gap on the recycling here? Some people say you need more incentives, some even financial incentives to make people do it, and some people would have a hard time doing it too, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I mean, we really think that the starting place is that the city needs to set a goal of zero waste and create a plan to get there. That's what all the other cities that have been successful at this, like San Francisco, like Seattle, like Austin, Texas, have done. So really, that's the first part. The city needs to make a plan, commit money, commit staff to actually doing this. And then, secondly, the question is, what do you do in the plan? And yeah, sometimes people do need incentives, but we think that one of the real big incentives for recycling is that it increases jobs in our local communities, and that the more people understand that, the more that they will want to commit to recycling in their communities.
And Chris, what about the new jobs being created and the importance of setting standards for worker safety and pay?
Well, if you're going to have the new jobs created, you want to make sure that those within the community are having that access to those jobs, and also you want to make sure that those jobs are well paid, living wage. And we know that that has been the flavor of the year, actually, in a couple of years, starting with the same places that Bess had mentioned, when San Francisco, in Seattle. There is a strong correlation between all of those, with the living wage, with the recycling, with clean living, with zero waste. It all comes together because they're understanding that the population has to, one, have clean living, two, be able to have a living wage in order to live. That's really what it is all about.
Thank you both very much. Curtis Rollins from the Boston Workers Alliance and Bess Beller-Levesque from the Boston Recycling Coalition.